year, I keep thinking about something that a friend said to me when I was in conservatory. And that was that in order to be able to improve, she first had to be able to hear herself on a different level. Now, I realize this sounds really simplistic, but there's so much truth into this, and it's so applicable to my year here in the fellowship, that until you gain a new sense of awareness, until you have a type of paradigm shift in how you're listening to yourself and interacting with others, you can't really grow. And as I look on this year, I see that this has become a theme that is pervasive throughout the whole fellowship. I had one experience at the beginning of the fellowship that set this theme of self-awareness into motion. The fellows were in Chicago for a conference. In Chicago. And I was staying with a friend on the south side. I took the bus home one night as it was getting dark, and I got off the bus, and I proceeded to walk half a mile in a not the safest neighborhood by myself. Right, I know, not so smart. But I felt tough. I had taught these neighborhoods before. As I was crossing the street to my friend's house, I felt something from behind come at me. I pummeled to the ground, and as I looked up, I saw the face of an 8-year-old boy looking at me, and he demanded my backpack. I gave it to him, and as I watched him walk away, I saw there on the corner 2 other boys. And it was clear that those 2 boys had put that other boy to a test. And it was a test that day that he had won. This experience was illuminating for me for 2 reasons. The first was that I learned something about my students that I had never sensed in the classroom. I saw the real realities that they faced on the streets, the daily challenges that they faced, of which I was really never aware. And it wasn't until those realities literally knocked me down that I got it. The second was more an introspective thing that I gained from this, and that was that I had I had taught these communities for over 5 years in Baltimore City. And I'd driven through these communities always in my car. In a sense, I was in this bubble, self-contained bubble. I would get to the school, I'd get out, go in and teach, and I never really connected what I was doing in the school to what was going on in the community. In a sense, I didn't really belong, and I didn't know how to make those 2 things intersect. There was a long process ahead of me, and I didn't really understand that at that time. Now, I realize this sounds like a really negative story, but it's actually an experience for which I was really grateful this year. It humbled me, and it gave me a new lens through which to see the rest of the fellowship, this idea of self-awareness. I gained self-awareness in so many different ways. As a teacher, well, actually, first I'll say is, just as a scholar, I learned that Sistema is connected in a broader scope to society in so many ways. I came into this fellowship, I had drunk the Sistema Kool-Aid, I thought this was the way to create social change, and it is. But I credit our program director, Heath Marlowe, for showing me how Sistema is connected to so many other community music programs already going on, and how it's connected to other disciplines, arts, theater, dance, how we can connect with these other disciplines, how we can collaborate, that it wasn't a silo thing. I also gained a new sense of awareness as a teacher. I had previously thought that just by bringing my passion and my effervescence to the classroom that I was doing a good job. I was inspiring those kids. And I judged my sense of success based on how well my students did, not based on how well I did. Well, I spent a month with Lori Hagee, the amazing Lori Hagee in Juneau, and I realized that there was so much more to teaching. My tone of voice, my credible body, the way I use location in the classroom, all made me way more effective. I learned a new sense of self-awareness as an artist. I spent a week in Baltimore, and I'll say that I was a classically trained musician, but I was not used to improvising, doing creative music making. I spent a week in Baltimore doing just that. And I realized that I wasn't doing this before because I was limited by my own fears, hindered by these fears. And I had let that get the best of me. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And just as a citizen, this idea of being fearful, I saw in Venezuela people take risks like I had never seen before. In fact, I came back and I joined this coined this term, fearless, passionate drive that I had seen there, because it really does exist. I met a nuclear director who added 3,000 kids to his program in 4 days. What? But he wanted to do it, and he made it happen. And it was the idea of just going for your dreams and making that happen because you love it, and not worrying about if it would work out or not. When we started this fellowship, Pete said that we would be developing help me, Eric Booth. Habits of mind. Habits of mind, thank you. And it was really true. I did that. This fellowship gave me the space to re-examine my beliefs, the way I process and operate, and the way I interact with others. And for that, I'm so grateful. And I ask you all today to hold me to this commitment to being more self-aware, because I never again want to live in a bubble. So next up is Megan. She's someone who's definitely challenged me to see more than I was currently seeing this year. She's a violinist, a teacher, and administrator from Portland, Oregon. She's an amazing person. She was most recently working for the Ethos Music Project there. And she's a lover of nature. She loves the mountains and to be outside. And one thing you might not know about Megan is, although she's a great classical violinist, she's also a gypsy jazz and Celtic fiddler. And I'll say that the thing I love most about Megan is the broad perspective she takes on